Hello, I'm Jason Shank, and I'm talking about the paper I wrote, Militia from Colonial America to the War of 1812. Its intended purpose, responsibilities, and endurance despite America's transition to a standing army. Looking into this, what I found, it kind of started with the concept that was created by Victor Davis Hanson in the Western Way of War. It's the idea that free people have a responsibility to protect themselves and their property, and it's a natural extension of that being free, and that is the basis of the Second Amendment. The concept of the militia, but also the right to keep and bear arms. Specifically, beginning with the looking at the history of the militia and how it developed. America, of course, was a basically a frontier that was colonized and very difficult conditions, which required the use of arms to be able to protect themselves, defend their property, etc. The colonial period saw that use of the militia to basically provide for the common defense of communities. So it was a very local situation. That progressed into the Revolutionary War, beginning basically with the Sons of Liberty. Um, the militia had its first real large scale encounter with the British at Lexington and Concord when the British regulars came to confiscate firearms and ammunition from the colonials. That, of course, started the Revolutionary War. But it was the militia at that point that operated in their prime duty or prime role of providing an immediate defense against those British. That continued on through the war, although the militia, or the fighting force basically, became the Continental Army. It transitioned more from a militia to a full scale army, which was distinctive in that nature. Following the Revolutionary War, there was still heavy use of the frontier of the militia on the frontier. It was important to provide protection, immediate protection against Indians, against the French, British, and Spanish that they faced on the edges of their territory. The militia at that point in time was also responsible for providing internal security, so almost a police force, really. This changed with the War of 1812. Beginning with the War of 1812, it was the militia that was doing the fighting. In large part, there was just a small national army that was available at the time. So individual militias from the states were called up to provide additional assistance to the standing army in the fight against the British. What we saw at that point in time was a realization that there was a problem with using militia and that there was a lack of standardization in weapons and training and structure that became a problem. And that, of course, was addressed by Congress in 1812 and then, of course, continued on until we have our standing army now, and what it looks like today. But the whole point of the militia was not to fight those long, protracted wars with foreign enemies. It was to provide immediate defense and security to the local community or the state. Um, when looking at the founders, especially the discussions or debates during the Constitutional Convention and also the ratification debates, it became readily apparent that the intention of the founders for the militia was that there was a right and responsibility of the individual to possess and bear arms and to stand up for their community in common defense. Um, and basically, it was the big defense against tyranny. The founders saw or very much feared a standing army and what it would do to the nation, as they saw throughout history when standing armies would eventually basically do a coup d'état and take liberties away from the people. So the militia, from the very founding, was a defense against tyranny, and it stressed again that the founders saw the not just the right to bear arms, but they also saw it as a responsibility that was held over the free people.